Hello there, fellow peregrinos. My name's Bradley Chermside. I'm a two-time pilgrim. I have walked the Camino Portuguese, I've walked the Camino Frances, and I'm also the author of the international best-selling Camino de Santiago memoir, The Only Way is West. I'm also the host of the Camino de Santiago Pilgrims podcast. So, if you're ready for this week's episode, go grab your boots and let's go Camino! Hello there, fellow peregrinos. Welcome to episode 69 of El Camino de Santiago Pilgrims podcast, where we talk about planning, preparation, and packing for walking the road to Santiago, as well as tips, tricks, and hacks and stories to make your journey along the way a lot more enjoyable. This week, we're talking to Miguel Garcia, who is from the USA, California, Rio Linda, they call it where he lives, the beautiful river. And Miguel, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast.
You're welcome.
Miguel, so we like to start in series 2 by asking how you answered the big question when you go to the pilgrim office in Santiago de Compostela. You stumbled through the doors after having walked so far and you cannot wait to get your hands on that Compostela, and they ask you the big question, and that is, what was your motive for walking? Would it have been religious or others?
Well, my motive was just doing the adventure.
Right.
I just retired from work in December 2017.
Congratulations.
So I wanted to do something big, something different, something I could do by myself without my kids or, family. And I just happened to run into this and it sounded like a great idea.
So when you say about doing something by yourself, I mean, it's interesting because I've had a few people ask me questions about whether they should do it with their partner, whether they should do it on their own. And Miguel recently had an article published in the Americans on the Camino magazine, which is called La Concha. And you wrote there, I understand there are some journeys that must be taken alone. It's the challenge, the feeling of I did this for myself, by myself, on my own. So why did you feel you had to do it on your own? Why not take a wife or kids with you?
Why? Because we've traveled all around the world as a family.
Yeah.
But this was the first time I actually flew alone, and I thought I wanted just to find out if I was able to handle situations, able to not relying on somebody, just figuring things out.
And you said completing a Camino solo does wonders for self-confidence. So would you say you kind of you felt like you needed to tick that box to prove to yourself you could achieve it?
Oh yeah, I mean, going out there by myself, meeting all these people, and making a point to be more social was very difficult for me. But
right.
by all my research, a lot of people talked about that, how I guess you could walk alone and not talk to anybody, but you're basically forced to socialize.
And that is one of the advantages of walking alone, is that you do broaden your social circle and broaden your horizons more than maybe you would have done if you'd have walked with a partner or friend or your children, for example.
Oh yeah, because I did not want to be, not stuck. I did not want to be in stay in that little group and not see other things and not do other things and not talk to other people. I just wanted to, whatever came, whatever happened, happened.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, my wife, she's a very sociable person, but she has problems kind of opening up to people she doesn't know. Now, she'd never walked the Camino before, never done anything like this, similar to you. And when we were offered to make a pilgrim meal with people, with some pilgrims we met, she actually didn't want to do it. She felt really shy, really embarrassed. And I kind of pushed her and forced her into doing that. And we actually went shopping with the pilgrims that we met, bought some supplies together, went back to the albergue, cooked it all together, hung out in the kitchen, chatting. She was completely out of her comfort zone. And she hated me for it, and she was giving me kind of funny looks. But at the end of it, she actually thanked me for making her do that and said how much she actually enjoyed it, Would you say that you got a similar feeling from having to open up your horizons and talk to people that ordinarily you might not?
Oh yes, I was
Could you
so
give a
nervous.
specific example?
Well, I mean, I think for the first couple days, I really kept to myself, because I just did. I think I just really didn't know how to approach or how to interact with the diversity of people. California is pretty diverse, but on the Camino, I ran into people from literally almost all around the world. You know.
Yeah, yeah. So would you say you were maybe an introverted character that was kind of not forced to be extrovert, but it was a good exercise for you individually and personal growth?
Oh yes, I had to talk to myself and say, okay, this is what I got to do.
Yeah.
I have to smile. I have to say hi. I have to say buen camino. I have to open myself,
Mm,
and that
mm.
was difficult for me.
What would you say to someone else who maybe is kind of an extroverted character, sorry, an introverted character, and how would you say they could open themselves up more to the social gatherings that happen during the evening? Because it's not easy if it doesn't come naturally to you.
Yeah, you just what I did. I just had to say, okay, I'm gonna do it no matter what, no matter how I feel, how nervous I got. I just, I forced myself to sit by people and talk to people and just open up, introduce myself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one thing I learned on the Camino, which is something I learned about myself, was that I'm quite a sociable character, and I liked meeting new people. But I did realize about myself that when I was in a group of new people or saw someone new, I would always wait for them to say hello, and I wouldn't be brave enough to break the ice or open enough. And I saw that about myself, and I said, from now on, whether I'm on Camino or off Camino, I'm going to be that first person to
Yeah,
to to say hello. That was something I learned about myself as well, and I
yeah.
think people are so open and friendly on the Camino that if that is something you want to draw out of yourself, there's no better place to do it because you're more often than not going to get a warm reception.
Oh yeah. I, I, it came to the point that I was saying hi to everybody. I was waving people down, and and especially my second Camino, I thought I did so much better. Of course, I was more at ease. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about your two Caminos then, because you said your second Camino, and that was the Camino Portuguese, and that was in 2019. You walked from Porto to Santiago, and you said in our pre-Camino chat you'd made you did a few things differently on your second Camino to the first. Could you tell me what you did differently exactly and why?
well, the first one was my backpack.
Right.
The first time I walked, I probably carried probably close to 20 pounds, which was way too much. My Camino Portuguese, I think I was without food and water, it was probably like 6, 7 pounds at the most.
So how did you optimize your packing?
Well, I didn't take all my electronical stuff like I did the first time.
Be
I didn't.
specific. What did you leave
Well,
behind? Like,
I left my laptop behind. I left all my connections. I had my phone and my charger for the phone, but that's it. I left my GoPro. I left all that stuff, and that turned out to be quite a bit.
okay,
And
so
then
yeah.
all that extra clothes. I had jackets, I had sweaters, I had this, I had that on my first one, and I didn't need them.
So by optimizing it, you were a lot more comfortable when you walked the second time.
Oh yes, a lot more. The backpack didn't. But my first Camino, my backpack was hurting my shoulder, my lower back. I just struggled with it the entire
Mm,
time.
yeah.
The second one, it was it was nothing.
No, it makes a massive difference to your whole demeanor when you're walking comfortably
Oh
with
yeah.
with not a lot of weight on your back, with the right amount of weight. I walked the Camino Portuguese. I think it was the first time 2017 or 18. I have to check that out off the top of my head, but I had come from the UK where I'd gone to do some work first. So I was doing a gig. Anyway, long story short, I had some musical equipment in my backpack with me. And I ended up carrying it with me on the Camino because I flew from the Camino to Portugal, and it was murder. It was absolute murder. I was
Yeah.
hating it. I really, really, really didn't enjoy it as much as I could have. And then we went back again the following year, and yeah, it was just so much more enjoyable because I made sure I was only carrying about six. I think 6 kilograms without food and water, 7.5 kilograms with food and water. And I said to my wife, I feel like I haven't even got a backpack on my back. And I enjoyed it a lot more. So yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. And you mentioned kind of your approach to walking as well when we had a little chat before the start, and how you did things
Oh,
differently.
oh yeah. Well, the first time I walked just too long, too far. I was walking, 20, 25 mile days, and it just killed me.
Hmm.
The second time, I made sure I did not go no more about 8 to 10 miles at the most. I followed the guidebook, but I just stopped. And that way I was able, some walks were, I worked at it, but I didn't kill myself. I didn't get blisters. You know, I didn't overexert myself.
Hmm. Hmm. So
And
you
that,
just, yeah,
which made, the walk just more enjoyable.
yeah, you stayed in your comfort zone, and you were never at the point where you were maybe feeling a bit tired or ratty or cheesed off, and so you're always in the enjoyment zone basically.
Yes.
Yeah, and in your body and your spirit as well, because I mean, often when you're walking so far, if you're doing those 20, 25 K days, by the end of it, you've had enough. So, yeah, I think that's a really good approach. I think something I've learned is maybe just like we said on, I think on a recent podcast about maybe walking just 7 or 8 K or an hour and a bit, then having a break, and then doing a little bit more or less the same, then having a break. So maybe 3 sessions of that, and that can often add up to about 15
Yeah.
to 20K per day, and that's good going, And
Yeah.
you're always enjoying yourself that way. You're never at your limits,
Yeah.
neither the
Yes.
limit of your spirit or your physical limit. So yeah, good plan. In terms of the Camino Portuguese and the Camino Frances, for you, how do they compare?
Well, I thought, my first Camino, my goal was just to speak Spanish. I wanted to consume myself in the culture. So, and I think, after a few days of, catching the rhythm of the language and a different dialect, I was able to, I mean, people were shocked I could speak English. That's how well I, caught on. But my Portuguese was a little rough, but I did pretty good, I thought.
Right, so you had got a chance to kind of exercise the language muscle.
Oh yes, that was my goal is just speak Spanish, don't speak any English, and I did that very well, I thought.
The Portuguese as well is interesting because you can speak Spanish to them and they will understand, and they'll often speak back
Yes,
to you in Portuguese and you can understand, I
yes,
guess most of it. So even though the pronunciations are really really different, but in terms of reading the language and the okay, I guess it's got their derivatives of Latin, aren't they? So
yes,
yeah, so the language, there's a lot of areas where the languages overlap. Um, and you said about you've got Spanish heritage, right?
correct.
And I think listeners would kind of enjoy what your mum said about when you said you were going to go to the Camino.
Oh yeah, she wanted me to stop by and see my cousins and my uncles, and I was trying to tell her, well, it's not. Tell them this is I'm going on this path, and I'm sticking to this path as much as I can. I'm not going to be, I don't have the ability to jump from city to city and town to town,
Yeah.
somewhere else in Spain. I'm walking, I'm not driving.
If only it was so easy, huh?
Oh, I wish I could have, but
So
there's
which part
just,
of Spain does your family hail from?
from Salamanca.
Right. So you obviously quite away from Salamanca.
Yeah.
So you got that hot Spanish Southern blood in your family.
Oh, yeah.
Good
For my,
stuff. Okay. Well, I think it's more central actually, Salamanca, isn't it? But
yeah.
all right. So you're picking up the dialect, and you're trying your luck with a little bit of Portuguese as well. And in terms of which one you enjoyed most, what would you say?
Well, I thought the Spanish was, I was very proud of myself for being able to just blend in the way I was. Like I said, several people were just surprised I was American. They
Right.
thought I was Spanish.
Right. Okay. So you got the you picked up the dialects, you got the different pronunciations. So your name was Miguel Garcia, right, in Spain,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
not Garcia.
yeah. I
Right.
mean,
Okay. Good stuff. Oh,
because I ran into several Americans that were just amazed and they wanted to know where I learned to speak English so well.
oh
I go,
wow.
well,
Well,
from
there's a
back home.
massive compliment there, huh?
Yes. I mean,
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot now, Miguel. If, as well as your clothes, backpack, shoes, and phone, you could only take one other thing with you, you can only take one other thing with you, as well as your clothes, backpack, shoes, and phone. What was your most important thing apart from that?
my poles,
Your
my
walking
walking
poles.
pole. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Because I walked the Frances in April and I went through so much snow and rain and mud going over to, Cruce Fierro and going to Osobrero. I was in the middle of storms there and I needed those poles.
So the poles are coming with you on every Camino.
Oh, yes. I mean, they help you go over obstacles and help you on the way down. I mean, they just steady. For
Yeah.
me, they just steady my walk
Yeah.
and they keep you upright also.
Yeah. And they give you a little bit of extra momentum and rhythm as well.
Yes.
And what would you say? One piece of advice for caring for your feet.
What I did, made sure I kept them dry and made sure that if anything hurt, I would stop and check it to make sure there wasn't a blister there. I didn't really have a blister problem, but I was, worried about it because I've heard so many people say, everybody gets blisters, but I did pretty good. I had two little ones on both my trips. I had two very small blisters. That's all I had.
And
So
how
just
did you do?
basic.
Yeah.
Oh, they were small enough that I just put those pads on them, and they eventually went away.
Okay. But the most important thing, like you said, is to deal with it there and then on the spot. Don't let it get out of
Yeah,
hand. Don't let it
yes.
grow.
Whenever I felt anything on my feet, I go, oh, time to stop, time to look,
Yep.
and I
That's
just
exactly what you got to do. And while we're talking of advice, what's the best piece of advice you read or heard when you were preparing for your Caminos or Camino?
I think the best part of the advice is just don't overplan. You start and you end even on the day, but you just gotta absorb, you just gotta go with it, take a chance, and just explore.
Right.
Just
Okay.
don't overbook everything, overplan everything, and know what you're doing every minute.
So be open to new opportunities and yeah, just and if things don't go to plan, then just roll with the punches.
Oh yeah, you have to, and that's the funny thing about my both Caminos. I would be walking, I would be just looking at the trees, at the houses, and then I realized I haven't seen an arrow in a long time. I go, oh,
Mm.
so I had to back up. I did that on both Caminos. I had to back up. Then I finally found where I was supposed to be. Then, you know,
So you got lost.
oh, I got lost several times.
How did you find your way back? That's a really good
Well,
question.
I backtracked, or
Right.
like in twice when I was in Portugal, someone the locals waved me down and told me I was going the wrong way.
Right.
So
Okay.
I just backtracked and found where I made the mistake. I saw the arrow or saw the pilgrims, and then I corrected myself. But yeah, I did that several times. But
So if you get
it's
lost, basically go backwards until you see another yellow arrow, or if you get lucky, then you might get the locals to whistle you down and send you on the
yeah,
on the right path.
yeah. Don't be afraid to say I'm lost, because
No.
the locals know people get lost all the time. I mean, they know what the route is.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, I'm interested. You obviously your Spanish is very strong. Would you could you offer up a Spanish phrase or word that can kind of could get you out of a sticky situation or a commonly used one like Camino?
I usually tell them, "Hola, estoy perdido. ¿Me puede ayudar?"
So I'm lost. Can you help me?
Yes.
Estoy
And
perdido.
yeah, I did that a couple times,
Yeah.
and yeah, they don't have an issue helping you. At least
No, no,
I didn't find that a
no.
problem.
No, I mean, and even if you don't speak Spanish, the Spanish will still come and talk to you. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh
They
yeah,
love a
because
chat. I mean,
but I would wander off the path for some reason. I just, you know,
lost in the moment.
yes.
Okay, so you've done two Caminos. Is there something you'd do differently were you to return for a third time?
Well, my goal was to return again, but by the looks of it, it's going to be several years right now.
Hmm.
Um, my goal is to do the entire French way.
Okay. So you did a part of it, which was Leon to Santiago last
Right.
time, and what you do differently is you liked it that much, you go and do the whole thing.
Yes.
Okay, is there
Yes.
anything you do differently in your planning or packing or preparation?
Well, the first time, the biggest mistake I made was that I bought a new backpack the day before I left for Spain.
Hmm.
So, so it was smaller, but I didn't train in it.
Yeah.
I think that the first day I think I stopped 4 times and unpacked and repacked because I was just not, I wasn't used to that backpack.
Hmm.
But basically, my what I would do the second time is just take it easy, take as many days as I need, and just don't push myself to exhaustion.
Yeah. Stay in this sweet spot of enjoyment. Stay in your comfort zone.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. And yeah, I think the backpack's an important thing. I'm happy you mentioned that because it can be very enticing. You see a brand new shiny piece of equipment, you think, I'll treat myself to that. But like you said, if you haven't trained in it, you don't. Your body and your backpack haven't really danced together yet.
yeah,
For not just for one song, you're going to be dancing for an 8 hour set per day.
yes,
So
day and day after day.
yeah, and you never know where you're going to find the little bits of where it's going to chafe somewhere, or how it sits on your hips or on your back, or whether the waist strap's too tight. So the
Yeah,
moral of the story, the lesson learned there is, whatever you do, make sure you pre-train with a backpack as well as your
oh yeah,
shoes.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
really good
in
advice.
in my training, had my backpack packed. At least the second time, it was packed like I was gonna walk. I had the shoes, and I wore the socks that I was gonna be wearing.
Mm.
So everything of that, was broken in. I felt comfortable. When
Yeah,
I got to Portugal, I was confident that I would actually do well.
yeah.
The first time, I didn't know what I was doing. I was so worried and concerned and afraid, nervous.
Yeah, and but the most important thing is like you said, is that you did something on your own that you'd always wanted to do, and it was that massive boost of self confidence that you needed.
Yeah.
And what about your children? What did they say and your wife say and when you said you were going to go and walk off across Spain?
Well, when I first brought it to their attention, at first I don't think they believed me at first. They kind
Right.
of blew it off, and I ride bikes. I'm a cyclist, but I've never really been a walker per se. you know. And so they didn't take me seriously. Then I told them, okay, this is the date I'm leaving. I got my tickets, and my daughter just told me this last time she's in Florida, but last time I was talking to her, she said that she was just surprised because I've never done anything like that. I go, well, that's why I did it to push myself
Yeah,
to.
so that was one of the
Yeah,
hardest things, pushing yourself, right?
yeah, yeah. But
And yeah,
they
sorry.
didn't they didn't think I was going to be able to, especially walking every day, day after day. They just couldn't conceive me doing that.
What's the experience like I mean, I've never been a long distance cycler. I've done events on a bike, triathlons and stuff, but I've never been one really going on long rides day after day, week after week. It's never been a part of my life. From a cyclist's perspective, what do you get out of walking what do you get out of walking that you don't get on a bike?
Well, you see more because it's a lot slower, so you have time to literally look and see and turn and stop, and you could hear the birds. A lot of times when you're cycling, at least a lot of times when I'm cycling, I got my head down and I'm just pedaling to get to the next point.
So you're more in touch with everything that's going on around you.
Yes.
In terms of, I mean, one of the biggest things about walking and exercise is the endorphin rush, the sense of well-being, the increased sense of well-being that exercise gives us. And I found when I did a few bike rides, it would give me a kind of good buzz, a really good buzz afterwards. How does that buzz compare to walking for you? I'm interested because for me, I know the feeling between cycling and walking.
Well, with the cycling I think a lot of it is the speed and just the distance. Because, when you ride a bike, you go
Covering
fall
more,
off,
yeah.
it cover more distance. And this way, next year, since I think Spain's probably going to be closed a couple of years. Who knows? But me and my friends are planning to ride our bikes across country. I'm going to start in San Diego and finish in Florida. That's our goal next year.
Right. So that's you said you wanted to do something big in your retirement. You've walked the Camino, and that's huge.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, please keep us posted on that one. And I just found, like on a bike, for example, I'd get quite a big high and then come crashing back down to earth a bit later. I'd be really really spent after cycling. Whereas on the Camino or on long distance walking, I find it more of a slow burning satisfaction.
Yes. Yes, and it is because you're just absorbing everything. I mean,
Yeah.
you're absorbing everything at a walking pace. I mean, you see everything, you hear everything.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And when I walked, I did not walk with headphones.
Me neither.
No music, no music. I did not want to, miss, the sounds and the people.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think personally that's the way I get the most from my trip. But obviously, everyone walks their own Camino, and whatever they have to do to get through hard days on the roads. Sometimes a bit of music helps, and gives you a pick up when you're tired. Okay, so it's story time now, Miguel. I want you to tell us that your hardest moment on the Camino. Tell us about a day that stands out. What was
Well,
the hardest moment and what you learned from it and how you could offer others to get through something similar?
okay. The worst, the hardest day I had is when I went from La Rambla, I think it is. No, is it? Yeah, when I went there to Molina Seca, when I went to Cruz de Fierro, that morning I skipped breakfast because I wanted to get an early start. I wanted to get up to the cruise, when the sun was rising. So I didn't eat breakfast, and it was snowing. I mean, it was bitter cold, and through the towns I went through, everything was closed. All the shutters were down. There was just nothing open. So I made it to the cross. Then on the way down to Molina Seca, that descent just killed me.
Mm.
I mean, because I had to go so slow because it was just snowing, and then you got water running everywhere, all those rocks, everything's so
The rocks are
slippery.
slippy, aren't they?
Oh yeah, I mean it
They're
was.
even boulders on the way down, aren't they?
Oh yeah, I mean, and by the time I got down to Molina Seca, that the bridge that enters Molina Seca, the
Yeah.
Pilgrim's Bridge, I think they call it. I was standing there, and it was Sunday afternoon. I was standing there, and people were walking by and asking me if I was okay, because I know I was doing bad. Because every time I tried to stop, my legs would shake. I mean, just uncontrollably. I go, okay, I'm in trouble here, so I got to keep moving. Because at this point, I haven't seen anybody. I mean, I, I was using an app to make sure I was on course. And I kept checking my app because I literally did not see any other pilgrims that
What
day.
app were you using, just out of interest?
I can't remember now. Gonzo or
Right.
yeah, something like that. It was called.
Gronz, was it the Gronz
Yeah,
app?
Grums. Yes, yes.
Gronz.
But
Groze. Yeah, Gronz
yeah,
app.
because I did not see anybody, so I would check the app, making sure I was where I was supposed to be. Because I mean, once you're climbing down, you know, there's a lot of time all alone, and just so that was the roughest day. I knew I was in trouble. You know, I got down. From that bridge, I went to the little cafe, little market, and there were Sunday afternoon. So I finally found one that was open because everything closes Sundays afternoons for some
Mm-hmm.
reason. And they were out of any kind of meat, they were out of bread. So I got a couple bananas and a couple drinks. Even the lady that was behind the counter came around the counter and asked me if I was okay. And I said, I know, I'm okay. I thought I was okay, but she told me to sit down. So I'm eating all the food I bought there. And what she ended up doing, she called the paramedics because she thought I was doing so bad. So do you know what the paramedics are?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that the
sure,
right?
sure.
Okay. I know there might be some difference between England and the United
No,
States,
no, we
but
call them the same thing. I know we call
oh,
many
okay.
things different, like a bum bag and fanny pack
Oh, okay.
and
Okay.
sneakers and trainers. But yeah, we use the same. We use the same word for paramedics, actually.
Okay. So I'm sitting there and they came in, they checked my blood pressure and checked my eyes and, start talking to me. And, I was, by then, I've eaten and I drank and I was feeling a lot better. I could tell I was feeling a lot better. And then they asked me where I was staying. So, I had the paper with it was a little pension. And it just happened to be on the outskirts of Molina Seca. So I had to walk all the way through. And the guy asked me if I wanted a ride. I go, okay. So he gave me a ride. So I didn't have to walk the rest of the way.
Brilliant. Now, obviously, um, you weren't feeling great. You said you were in trouble. Would I be correct to assume the reason you were feeling in trouble was because you hadn't eaten?
Yes.
Right.
Like I said, the day before I left that day, I bought 2 bananas
Hmm.
and I bought a couple little fruit bars,
Yeah.
but, I thought, I did not realize because of the weather, places would be shut down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
did,
the fact it was a Sunday.
yes, and I did not take account of at Sunday, everything closes down.
Good.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Good
you
point.
walk we walked through these towns and it was a ghost town. There was just nothing.
Mm-hmm. Again, this issue came up on last week's podcast, and I'm glad you brought it up again because it hadn't been raised before. Remember, things close on a Sunday, and the moral of this story is: number one, the Spanish are lovely, helpful people, and number two, make sure you have enough fuel to fire you through the Camino because
Yeah.
you're going to go from feast to famine. You're gonna eat so much, and then you might not get a chance to eat because you're up in the mountains like you were. So you have to feast. Sorry, at times like there is a famine, basically. So
Yeah.
make sure you fuel yourself. I came a cropper as well on my Camino Frances Miguel. I thought sandwiches were enough and bocadillos were enough to get me through. And I think for the first 4, 5, 6 days, all I did was eat bocadillos because I wanted to keep going. I wanted to eat. I didn't want to
Yes.
stop in a meal, And then, anyway, I think I was in a place called Via Mayor de Monjardin. That was it. Anyway, that's like near Puente la Reina, around that area. And I ended up crashing one day and couldn't go very far because I had a fever because I just wasn't eating. And as soon as I got some food in me, I felt better, just like you did. So,
Yeah.
so lesson learned us both there. We've both learned the lesson there, and that is just to make sure you get enough fuel inside you. Okay, let's talk about our favourite albergue.
Well, in the French way, I stayed at Hostal La Puerta del Perdón in Villa Franca.
Okay, can you just say that again? Hostal La Puerta?
del Perdón.
Del Perdón. Okay, and that's
Yeah.
in where?
In Villafranca.
Villafranca del Bierzo.
Yes.
Okay,
And that was a
Villafranca.
pension. That was a pension though. But
Okay,
I thought that was the most comfortable bed. Of course, I was very tired, but that was the most comfortable bed I ever had. And
right. So yeah.
the dinner they prepared was very good. I was, and they had an excellent breakfast the next day. It was a very nice place.
Okay, great stuff. So Hostal La Puerta del Perdón in Villafranca del Bierzo. That's this week's recommended accommodation.
Yes.
What about a bar or restaurant on the Portuguese or the Frances?
What I did, I I tried to stay away from the bars and the cafes that were just overwhelmed with pilgrims. So what I did, I would go and find the empty cafe, the empty bar, and just go in there. That way I could talk to the owner or talk to the people working. I mean, that was my goal to do every time. I did not want to go to the masses. I wanted to, well, I was trying to, consume myself in the culture. And the best way to do that is to talk to the locals.
Absolutely.
So, I cannot say that I remember any specific, but I found these little places along the way where I sat alone, I talked to the guy. Usually it was a male working, and he'll bring out his wife eventually or his kids.
Yeah, yeah,
And, it was like a family. I mean, I was part of that family at that moment.
yeah. And
But that's what I did on both Caminos.
I mean, I do wonder if we were to make this effort to go out of our way to make this effort in our hometowns, we'd experience the same. Because on the Camino, people do, the grandmas will come out and the kids will come out. The one-eyed cat will come out to meet you.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Yeah.
that kind of magic happens on the Camino. I don't know if it happens in everyday life.
No,
I don't know,
I think
Miguel. I don't know. It's a good question, but does it or what? What do you think?
I don't, at least
Do you think it's because we're
here.
more closed in our everyday life?
Yes, I think just the way the societies are structured here, that
Hmm.
it's just not common. It's not, we're not brought up that way.
Hmm. I think what you're describing there is the magic and the spirit of the Camino,
Oh yes, I
and I
mean
think it's those, yeah,
because
those,
I would start walking the next day. I'll run to some people that say, "Oh, we ate here, we ate there." I go, "No, I went to this little place, and I just talk to the family."
yeah.
You know,
No, yeah, I really like that approach, and I think it's little things like that that make the Camino so special, and why people keep going back again and again. So, your advice would be maybe try some of the quieter bars every now and again, and you never know kind of how you're going to get to know the owners and what you
oh,
might
yeah.
end up doing or who you might end up speaking to.
Yeah, because those couple times I did eat at the, with all the pilgrims at the pilgrim meals and stuff like that, which I had a good time doing, but I wanted to consume myself in the culture
Yeah,
and get to know the people. These are, the real Spaniards,
yeah.
not, the tourists in the big cities. I wanted to,
Mm.
immerse myself,
I must say
and I
you
thought,
had an advantage as well being fluent in the
oh
language because
yes,
that
oh
opens
yeah,
doors that ordinarily might not. So
oh
yeah,
oh yeah, that helps out a lot.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And this and oftentimes the locals in these little villages probably their English won't be that strong, so that's why your Spanish was probably such a nice surprise for them. So,
Mm.
I mean, talking of surprises, I mean, was there a hidden gem along the way, like somewhere that you hadn't heard of that you thought, oh, this town is amazing or this place is amazing?
I thought Molina Seca was beautiful.
Mm, yeah, I agree.
I mean, I wish I would have stayed an extra day there, and I probably should have, since I struggled so much the day before. I wish I would have just took the day off and just spent the day and
Mm,
explored and saw all the sights. Because when you only have a few hours in the evening or the afternoon, you could see stuff, but you don't get to see a lot of it.
Yeah, Molina Seca is beautiful. After you cross that, and one of the reasons it's so beautiful is because you're finally on flat ground after getting out of the mountain. But
Oh, yes.
yeah, but it is a lovely, lovely, quaint little town. So Molina Seca will be this week's hidden gem. It just dawned on me after so many times I've mentioned this place and reading about this place. It actually means dry windmill. But anyway,
Yes.
I didn't. I don't
Yes, it
remember
does.
seeing a windmill there. I might just.
No, I don't think I saw, and I don't know if I really looked because I was,
Anyway, that's a
I
bit
was,
of useless information for you there, everybody. Dry windmill. That is this week's hidden gem. Okay, so we're going to dive into some quick fire questions now. So this is what we call our lap of honor round. So just like when you can walk to Finisterre from Santiago as a lap of honor, we're going to go our lap of honor questions. So, favorite Camino
okay.
blog, vlog, book, and or film.
Well, the Camino de Santiago forum is what I followed. I like reading all the different stories, all the different questions people answer and ask. That's what I basically used a lot. And movie, it would be The Way. I just like that movie a lot. I like Martin Sheen a lot. I think he's a very good actor.
Favorite food and or drink on the Camino.
Um, Tortilla de patatas was my favorite. I just loved it, and I loved their orange juice.
That's a good
Uh,
breakfast.
yeah, yeah, and well, I would drink it all day almost sometimes.
Should have had it on the day you walked to Cruz de Ferro.
Yeah, I wish I would have.
Lesson learned. One thing you wished you'd packed.
Um, Nothing really. I mean, I had everything I need, especially the second one. I thought I did very well. I planned very well. I used everything I had, and I did not need anything.
One thing you didn't need on your first Camino wouldn't take again.
All the electronics.
All the electronics, apart from your phone, right?
Right. My phone, I needed it because, I did, my family was very concerned that I was going to be wandering in the middle of nowhere by myself. So I had to, I told them I would give them a call every day when I was done to make sure that I was okay.
A guilty pleasure you may have carried with you.
Nothing really. I mean,
Would have been the laptops from the first one, right?
oh yeah, all that look. You just don't need all that stuff.
A,
All my laptop, my GoPro camera. I didn't need that.
a Spanish product or shop that came in useful.
Um, I don't know. I mean, I I bought very little, if anything, just besides food and drink. I mean, so I really didn't need anything. I didn't need to buy anything.
Okay, weirdest thing you saw someone carrying on the Camino, perhaps.
Oh, you know what I saw? The weirdest thing was
Hmm.
there was a group of men in kilts,
Right. Okay.
and this was
And it
the
was snowing.
yes, and
Right.
that's what I was going to say. That was the day I was going to O Sombrero because the
The big
the
question is, were
trail.
you above them or below them? If you're below
I
them,
was
then you
I
have
was
to find out
below
what
them.
they're wearing
Yeah,
underneath their kilts, right?
yeah. I mean, because we had to walk the road,
Yeah.
because the trail was closed because there was so much snow. So I first I looked. I go, are those guys wearing skirts? I go, well, they're kilts, but
Oh,
it's like, oh
you
my, they
you
have to
better
be
not call it.
freezing.
You better not call them a
Oh,
kilt if they're skirts. If they're Scotsmen, they'll be
oh,
offended.
I know that. But I was thinking, God, they have to be cold
Yeah.
because I
Well.
was cold and I had my base layer and
Yeah.
I had everything on and I was freezing.
Yeah, I know that. I know that feeling, Miguel. I just moved to the north of England, and I go out in the morning to walk my dog. I'm wearing pajama bottoms under my jeans. I'm wearing a vest. I'm wearing a t-shirt, a jumper, a coat, hats, gloves, scarf, and I see the locals walking around wearing shorts.
Yeah,
It's
I never seen. I've seen that people once in a while, but
yeah.
I've never seen a group of people like, in that weather. But they seem to be comfortable.
Did you find out if they were Scotsmen or not? Or
Well, no, I did talk to them, and they did have, I don't know the difference between a, Scottish accent or a, I've never, but they look pretty. I didn't ask them, but they looked Scottish.
Any ginger hair there?
Any what?
Ginger hair.
Oh yeah, they were redheads.
Okay, well there you go. They're probably Scottish then. We'll leave that one there. Okay, so Miguel, what was the for you? And feel free to kind of elaborate more on this one. What was the biggest, most important lesson you took from the Camino back home and applied to your life? What was the lesson you could apply easiest to your life back home?
It's basically just be open,
Hmm.
be more social, be more open to other people.
Can you give a specific example of how you've applied that to your life back home? And
Well, ever since I retired, I've been retired almost 3 years now.
hmm,
You know, I basically lost a lot of. I didn't lose my friends, but I just don't have that interaction anymore.
hmm,
So now I'm kind of forced to, when I go riding or go to a local bar or whatever, just be open to say hi, introduce myself and or talk about the beer or just be open to communicate. And I think I do that because I think I do that a lot better than I used to.
hmm.
You know.
That actually kind of, I think, ties in neatly with the closing paragraph that you wrote for La Concha, in the article you wrote for La Concha, when you said, once you walk, you're a pilgrim. You remain a pilgrim throughout your life. So it's like the pilgrim Miguel is now back home.
Yeah. I would think
The
yes.
pilgrim in you is
That
coming out in your everyday life.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I wish I could have walked again this year.
Mm,
I mean, I was planning on it. I was looking forward to it.
yeah.
I was, but things just didn't happen.
There's a lot of us that have that same sense of disappointment this year, and I guess we just have to accept that Mother Nature has has decided that everyone's going to do something different, and hopefully she's got a bigger, better plan in store for us all. That's all I can hope, and that's the one thing that keeps me motivated, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, it says you wrote as well. The Camino will give you time and space to see the good, the bad, and the ugly about yourself. And with every step, you learn to follow the rhythm of your heart. When you find it, you begin to believe in the magic of the pilgrimage. So, is that the most magical thing about the Camino for you? That you follow the rhythm of your heart?
Oh yes, because there were several days, especially my first Camino,
Hmm.
that I was, up to Saria, up to that point, there's days I walked all by myself. And, when you're walking by yourself with nobody around, you just think about everything. I mean, you have to. You think about your past, your present. You think about how you're interacting. You just think about a lot of things that go through your mind.
Hmm. Like you wrote, you'll find yourself alone with your thoughts, your fears, regrets, and struggles will all surface along the way. Sometimes one by one, and other times all at once. And the following day, you're refreshed, recharged, renewed, and full of life. So it's like that. The act of just walking every day kind of brings some perspective, and it helps you to process it. And then it's like some kind of sense of closure on the road, maybe.
Oh yeah, I mean, and seeing how the local people live so simply.
Mm,
It's just it's a simple, they don't have, all the I say all the garbage we have, but they're happy and they're happy, they're content, they're happy with their lives.
mm. I mean that just kind of it reminds me of a sentence that I heard a guy called. I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy called Wim Hof, and he's a bit of a crazy man. He's walked up Mount Everest, Mount Kilimanjaro, wearing only a pair of shorts,
Jeez.
um, and he's basically trying to promote this technique that he believes can cure people's depression, and it's all based around cold water therapy, so cold showers and this breathing techniques. And he says it the only thing that matters are happiness, strength, and health. The rest is not important. And I think the Camino definitely makes you come face to face and gives you a sobering realization about what is important and what isn't, and whether you are close to those values or not.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah, and that's why I love the Camino, because it is so much of a spiritual and emotional reboot, and that's what I
Yeah.
think is one of many magical things about the Camino. We spoke earlier on, Miguel, about your lowest moment, your hardest moment. So let's finish the podcast on a high moment. What was your highest moment where you had that sense of elation? Was it walking into Santiago when you first finished? Was it climbing Cruz de Ferro? Was it getting your tortilla and orange juice one morning? What was the highest moment for you?
Well, I was my second Camino. I was talking to some people from Belgium. I was telling because both times I walked into Santiago, it was pouring rain. I mean, both times I walked in there, it was raining so hard that there was no pilgrims out in the square or anything. That's how bad it was. The weather was. But I think, though still walking there, I think arriving there and saying, "Oh, I finished." Especially the first time, it was such a relief. It was such for me, it was a big accomplishment. I walked, 300 kilometers, and before then, I couldn't tell you I walked any kind of distances. That was the biggest accomplishment I've had, I believe.
Mm. And how does it compare to other accomplishments in your life, for example?
Well, this one is because since I did it and I was doubting myself that I could actually do it, I had to push myself. I had to get there, and I had to work on it to get there.
Mm.
I think that's what it was such a nice feeling to just walk in there and say, "Ah, I'm here. I did it."
And when you picked up that Compostela, when you had it in your hand, was it a sense of satisfaction that you'd finished, or
Oh yeah,
was there any worry that what's next, because you're retired and you're looking for new challenges? And did it come to your mind to ride across America at that point?
well, riding across America has been a goal I've had for
Right.
many years. But well, when I was working, to take, it's going to take me probably about 2 months to do, I think. To take that kind of time off without pay, it was just not, you know, not, I couldn't do that.
Mm.
But now that I have the time, and now that basically Europe is shut down for me, I can't leave the country. I mean, this is probably the best time I have to do it. And then I have several people that are going to do it with me that have actually done it before. So I have somebody to go with you know, could help me through the process. But
Yeah.
I have both my compostelas on my wall.
You and me both, Miguel. You and me
Oh,
both.
yeah.
Mine's currently got the light bulb shining into it, blinding me. But yeah, it's something to be proud of, isn't it?
Oh yeah, to me it's a big accomplishment because I have both my compostelas and my passport, my pilgrim passports in the same framing.
Hmm.
That way I see them every day. I see them multiple times a day.
And they never thought you were going to do it either.
Oh no, I mean, even after I did the first one, when I told them, well, I'm going to do the Portuguese way. I go, are you sure? You struggled so bad the first time. I go, well, hopefully I learned, which I did, and I just enjoyed the walking, and since the second one I was a lot shorter distances. I could do it again. I could do it every year, multiple times a year if I could. Yeah.
Well, now you're retired, and you never know if this vaccine gets approval that borders might fling open again. Here's hoping. Maybe you get to come back and do the whole Frances, like you said.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. I would love to do it again, and since next year my goal is to ride my bike across country. I think probably 22 or 23. I will walk again in Spain.
Okay, just to finish then, Miguel, a Camino song. You don't have to sing if you don't want to. Just absolutely not expected. But a song that can get you in the Camino mood or remind you of the Camino and could help motivate others to walk it or
Well, the only Camino song I could think of right now is Dan Mullins' song
right.
"Along the Way." You know,
Somewhere along the way,
yeah,
somewhere along the way.
uh,
Right, so
that's
Dan Mullins is called Somewhere Along the Way.
yeah.
And Dan also has the Camino podcast, which is called My Camino. So look that one up as well. If you haven't already, where have you been? So we won't make you sing it, Miguel, not unless you want to.
No, I couldn't remember all the lyrics, but I
Are
remember
you sure
the
you don't
tune.
want to? You don't want to surprise your family. You surprised them once by actually walking the Camino. You don't want to sing a song for them.
No, no,
No
no, because
problem. No problem.
you'll probably lose all your listeners
No,
too if
and
I
I've
try.
probably done that already because I was singing. To be honest with you, and sorry, Dan Mullins, for not singing in tune. But somewhere along the way, look that one up, guys. And Dan's got a great Camino album out there as well. So go and look that up as well. Miguel Garcia, muchas gracias por tu tiempo. Thank you so much for your time. And thanks for sharing all your stories. Thanks for sharing all your, I guess, we won't call them regrets, but lessons that you've learned along the way that I'm sure are going to come in helpful to others. And thanks for your time. It's been a real pleasure and a privilege to speak to you.
All right, thank you very much, and I love your podcast. I'm going to
Thank you
say that.
very much for listening. And you are the star of this show, so it's been an honor.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Miguel. Buen camino.
Buen camino.